rebooted. Bangernomics, rebooted.
First question. We need the first question now.
I hate doing
now.
You are
Lovely to
running
meet
a
you.
two-car
What's your
team
name?
in this year's Touring Cars Champion. Which rescues from the series are you entering?
Oh, go again. What was the question?
I'm not made to be a journalist. Sorry, James. You are running a two-car team in this year's Touring Cars Championship. Which rescues from the series are you entering?
Oh, right. Okay. Two-car team.
The Mustang.
The Rustang.
All day long.
No chance. I want to get there.
Absolutely. No, I'm in the Mustang.
Yeah, I don't want to pay the fuel bill. What am I going to go for? I'm going to go for. I think I'll go for the Riley RME. Sure, slow, steady.
Touring car?
Yeah.
Touring car is in a Riley.
Yeah, exactly. I want to listen. I'm not.
You'll be a hazard.
I don't want to win. I don't want to win.
I know.
I just want to be seen.
Well, you won't even be seen. You'll be that far. You'll be being lapped all over. They'll be honking you out of the way, smashing into you from the derrière. You'll be just.
No, they'll avoid it. They'll avoid it. They'll look at that lovely old.
Right, that is so you. That is.
Just go. No, let's leave them alone. No, that's the way to make a massive.
There is so much. You know, in an answer to a question, right? In an answer to a question, you get so much from an answer. You saying I'd be racing a Riley in the British touring cars says so much about you in a positive way, but it really demonstrates where you're at with cars, Fuzz. Vintage, classic, beautiful old cars in the touring cars.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
See, wild card.
Whereas me,
everybody be looking at it.
Everybody
be looking at it. So it's
Riley.
Hair in the tortoise. That's what it is.
No. The Mustang, the 5 litre fuel injected V8 Mustang would absolutely hammer around, absolutely flashing you out of the way. Get out of the way, you old man! Come flying around, lap you hundreds of times.
That's okay. I know. You know, the thing is, I'm guaranteed my position at the end of the
race. 1965 fastback Mustang, yes, please. In that cherry, in that candy apple red, grey stripes, loving it.
Anyway, what is this touring car stuff? Anyway, what's that?
Yeah. What? Yeah, good question. Is that good? Are you all right with that, Mimi?
Yeah, that's perfect. Hopefully James is too when he watches this.
Okay.
Driving into the ULEZ, do you comply with the regulations or use the spinning 007 style registration plate you fitted to an SOS car to fool the ANPR cameras?
Well, okay. So
there's a loophole on that.
There is a massive loophole. Loophole. You see, I would just transfer to my 1969 double-decker bus with its 10.5 litre diesel engine, because believe it or not, it is ULEZ exempt, as are most classic cars over 40 years old. So just jump into something old at the border and drive with impunity.
And I would drive in my 1964 Mercedes L319 6-wheeled beast and drive that in with my 3 litre Holden V6 straight 6 actually on that thing, engine straight in as you would, Fuzz, right behind you, loving it.
Yeah, that's right. But hold on, wait a minute. Doesn't that engine might not comply? So it might have been substantially altered. So therefore, it would need an MOT, and therefore it needs. Then it won't comply. No, you need to put an old diesel engine in.
No. Okay, yeah. So then I do what Fuzz had said. In fact, I've just done it now. It's just been done. Just had it done this second. So now it's all right. Yeah. It's quick,
I can believe that. I believe that because I believe that you manage to pull anything off.
Yeah, and where I get my stuff MOT, not a problem. Yeah, it's just gone through. It's just gone through the test again with that engine.
Yeah, you just online MOTs.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So so no need for spinning number plates or anything like that. Just get something old and drive it, because the other thing is that you can arrive in style when you get there.
Yeah, or you could do this. I'll just show you what you can do. Yeah. You can just leave your number plate so that you can barely see it, because the car's so filthy. There ain't no technology on the planet that can pick it up.
Yeah, there's a bit of that, but it's not so good in the summer. There are lots of different ways. The other thing is you can catch a bus or the tube or walk. Of course, there are all of those things. I like my public transport, so I would encourage people to do that as well. But just get around it.
Old car, just old car. Get yourself an old banger.
Old car.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. I mean, surely if everybody starts doing it, they'll close.
Oh, it'll be shut down. Yeah, totally.
But I just don't think everybody's going to do it.
No, for the time being, I think what could be better than driving a lovely old classic car through the streets of London, knowing that you're ULEZ compliant. Loving it.
Exactly. Especially if it's something like a tiny little Austin 7, which they're so small, so diminutive, you can kind of almost park them nose into the curb, and they're as long as a modern car is wide.
And the only reason that any of this has happened is because the House of Lords, all those guys in there have just gone, oh, hang on a minute, we've got okay, we'll allow those then. So as long as the House of Lords are there in their lovely old classic cars, then we'll be fine.
Don't mention that. Look, you're going to spoil it for everybody.
No, okay, yeah.
You're like the kid at school who tells the teacher that
ruins Father Christmas.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You've just.
Oh no, I wasn't that. I was the guy that in the cinema when they're all sitting down to watch Sixth Sense. I was like, he's dead all the way through it. Right at the beginning. I was that guy.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what you've just done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
you are given the choice to live in a 15-minute city or in the Outlands with Mad Max. Do you buy a bicycle or make an Inceptor? Which bike do you buy, or which car do you make into an Inceptor?
I've got no idea what that question is about whatsoever. I haven't watched Mad Max.
You've not seen Mad Max? What?
I haven't seen Mad Max either.
No. So do you understand that one at all?
Yeah, Mel Gibbon. Do you watch? You know Mel Gibbon? Yeah. Is it? What's his name? Mel Gibson. It's Gibson, isn't it? Yeah.
Gibson.
Him. Yeah, he was in
Del Gibbon. I know Del Gibbon.
Yeah, he's the original Mad Max. Now, when they talk about Mad Maxing a car up, that's that's it.
So talk us through this. What's a 15-minute city, and what's the Outlands?
Right. Okay. Basically, you're going to turn a car SOS car into just a Mad Max vehicle, blacked up, satin black, guns all over it, off-roading, crazy apocalyptic vehicle.
Okay, Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yes, because we kind of did that.
Yeah, but I would make sure that it's got a different gearbox and transfer box in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Jeep Grand Cherokee is a good call, and we hired that, we raised it, we put it on. We kind of joked about the fact we Mad Maxed it a little bit with that paint as well, Fuzz. If you remember, we did it in Raptor, so it had a rough sandpaper. It looked kind of military. If you've got Mad Max up here and you've got sort of military vehicle, or you've got like regular road cars there, military vehicles about there, Mad Max is at the other end. So we started Mad Maxing a vehicle in doing that Jeep with high lifters on it and winches all over it and LSDs and all that sort of stuff. Yeah,
so like Mad Max light.
So I reckon that in answer to that question, for me, I would Mad Max a car. Of the cars we've done this series.
It's got to be the Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, but you see, the problem with that though is that's what you'd expect.
Wait a minute! Oh no! I know what I'd do.
Go on.
JCB.
Oh yeah, that's a great call.
Yeah,
that's gangster.
Around and all that kind of thing. Yeah. JCB.
I would go for the Alpine.
Would you? Yeah, I suppose so. That would be my Back to the Future car.
But the reason I do the Alpine is because GTA is because you'd never ever expect to see that in any Mad Max film ever, because it's just a wedge. It would be the hardest vehicle to Mad Max because you need angles, you need steel, you need the sort of aggressive look, and that is just a pretty wedge. So to be able to Mad Max that would get so much talkability about the new Mad Max film with us in it, that pulling that off would be one hell of an achievement.
Yeah, but you've just dissed me for saying I'd take a Riley RME, into a touring cars championship. But you've just done exactly the same thing with the Alpine GTA.
No, because it's not got to compete. It's not got to compete.
Whatever's happening in that particular scene, you're the one that's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would. It would be the first target. You would wipe it out. You'd be like,
Yeah,
what? It
they've
would
got
be
the
a ramp.
fiberglass body for a start. So,
Yeah, I
you
know,
know, just
exactly.
use the
Stupid.
flamethrower on it. That's it. It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious choice, the obvious choice for the least creative person would be the Jeep. What did you choose?
I chose the Jeep to start with, but then I chose the JCB.
Okay, all right, okay, cool. Anyway, a good question, but and weird answers. So there you go.
Yeah.
The MOT needs to be replaced with a more rigorous testing procedure and applied to every vehicle every year. Discuss.
Okay, well, I mean,
right.
And then we have time for one more quick question at the end, and then the next journalist is waiting.
Okay, so a more rigorous. Well, at the moment, lots of vehicles are exempt from MOTs, and
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, so older cars, if your car is over 40 years of age, then it doesn't need to have an MOT. And what happens every year is a slew of cars that have not been on the road for 10 years suddenly, miraculously, find themselves coming out of garages, having the tires pumped up, and end up back on the road. So as for more rigorous MOT, I think there should be perhaps one or two new things that are introduced. One of those being, as it is in the case of commercial vehicles, people shouldn't be allowed to drive their vehicles on tires that are more than 10 years of age. And tires have a date stamp on them. Well, certainly if they're made within the past 30 years. If they don't have a date stamp on them, then they're probably older than that, which means, and I do still see them from time to time, which means that they shouldn't be in use at all. But so make sure that at least people have decent tires on, and perhaps make older cars go through a basic MOT that just basically tests their brakes, test their lights, test the steering, make sure they've got good tires on there, then off you go. At least something like that. As for newer cars, well, we're getting to the age of the electric car now, so I guess the MOT is going to change quite a lot, because the emissions. So I suppose you have to check that from the electricity bill at home, don't you? See if you.
I mean, I know they're discussing
low emissions option on your electricity supplier.
I'm sure I read the other day that they're talking about reducing the amount of time that normally when you buy a new car, you don't need an MOT for 3 years. Yeah. I think that they were talking about, I'm sure I read this just the other day about them reducing that to 2 years. What's your feeling on that, Fuzz?
Well, you know, if you've got an electric car, you've got heavier cars, you've got heavier braking and all that kind of thing. So there are certain components that are actually going to wear out more quickly. You've got greater acceleration, so things are going to wear out more quickly.
Yeah, and plus, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, again, you're going to be ripping tires to shreds, and people may not think that their tires are worn out. But I have experienced cars before now that I've bought that appear to have decent tires on them. But then when you get underneath, you look, and the insides of the tires are actually down to the metal car,
wire,
cords, the wire, literally down to the wire, and that can happen in the course of a year. So it might, a car could be in a decent enough condition to pass an MOT on the 1st of March one year. By the 1st of March the next year, it could be in a terrible state. It just depends on the mileage, the type of driving, and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, I think 2 years for the first test. The
other thing is electric cars now are dealing with a lot more torque and a lot more power and a lot more speed, and you could counteract the argument by saying they're safer, they've got more airbags. Overlooking that from doesn't mean everything else on the road has got all that technology as well. And it's not as simple as, okay, well, we can make a car go 0 to 60 in 1 second because we're putting 8 airbags in it and better side impact protection and better crumple zones, this and the other. I think the cars
it's all very well if you're outside, if you're inside the car, but if you're outside the car, it now weighs 2.5 tons.
Cars are lethal.
When it hits you, you're just vaporized. So
I went out in a Taycan, a Porsche Taycan Turbo S the other day, and it's 0 to 60 time. It's just over, and this was in the hands of a guy who I don't know whether he was particularly experienced at driving, most probably not, but he's driving a car that's twice the acceleration speed of anything that we had. I mean, when we were younger, the talk of anything around the 5 seconds to 60 was just phenomenal. You know, if you could possibly get a sub-5 car or even a sub-6, that was something quick. They're now talking sub-3 and some down to sub-2. So we're talking about massive amounts of heavy pieces of machinery accelerating with so much inertia. They're just lethal. So the MOT should actually, yes, I think the MOT for new cars should be brought. But you can get through a set of tires on a new electric car. I could get through a set of tires in I reckon 2 or 3 months, easy.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, perhaps we ought to be inspecting cars more often.
More regularly.
You know, as I said earlier, it's all very well having all these safety systems incorporated, but you've still got the idiot at the wheel at the moment.
Yeah,
and that's the big problem. And you know, the airbags are saving them instead of the really lovely person that's on the outside that's about to get you know, obliterated by somebody driving a car foolishly.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think maybe the march towards autonomous motor vehicles might be a good thing.
Fast cars are now in the hands of morons now, and it bothers me. I mean really quick cars. When we were younger, you'd see people with fast cars that weren't actually that quick, you know, and they'd soup them up and done something. Now you can go out there and for 25 grand you can get a car that'll accelerate quicker than any Aston Martin from 20 years ago.
That's right. That's right. We know that those morons are out there because we are morons as well.
Yeah.
I'm not the best driver either. And then really quickly before we finish, what's your favorite car of the series and what biscuits do you eat during work breaks?
Oh, okay. Favorite car of the series. That can be a tricky one because there are lots of different reasons for liking different things.
You'll know mine, Fuzz. Go. Come on.
Yeah, the Mustang.
Too late.
The Mustang for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I quite liked the Porsche 911. It was all over.
You've got a soft spot.
Yeah, I quite liked that Porsche 911. You know, yes, they are a VW Beetle Sport. They are. And people are going to say, oh, but there's no parts that fit on it. You know, yeah. That's not.
Well, they're owned by them now, so they're owned by them.
Look, I mean, you know, they're a VW Beetle Sport, but I like the engineering on the engines. I think that's quite good, and that's kind of what's got me drawn in a little bit. So yeah, and I like something that's got the engine at the wrong end of it, like the Porsche 911 has, because I like rear engine buses as well. So
come on, favorite biscuit.
They're a bit like a bus.
Yeah. Basically, what's your favorite biscuit?
Chocolate coated malted, half coated malted milk.
And you
you tramp, really?
Yeah, I like those, or dark chocolate digestives.
Right, okay, for me, 2. One of them that doesn't exist anymore called the United biscuit. You can't get those anymore. You can't. But alternatively, the Cadbury's cornflake bites that you get in a little box.
That's not a biscuit.
Yeah,
that's not a biscuit. No, that's either a cake or a cereal.
Turnix tea cakes.
Not a biscuit. Come on,
Turnix tea cakes. Turnix tea cakes.
Turnix tea cakes are they
not a biscuit?
It's not really, is it? It's kind of got a biscuity base.
All right.
It's a tea cake. Come on,
shortbread. Go for something easy. A shortbread digestive.
No, there's Scrubbers biscuits.
I like a shortbread as well. A nice.
I like a shortbread too.
Yeah, homemade shortbread when it's warm and thick is.
Fox's triple chocolate biscuits, soft baked in a brown packet with the bottom half of it's a plastic thing. You slide it out and you've got like 8 of them in there. Bang.
Well, thanks, guys.
There's something wrong with you.
It's a pudding.
Yeah,
that's with a pudding. Squirty cream on top. Loving it.
If you put that if you put those in the microwave together for 30 seconds and then poured some custard over them, that would be.
Oh yes, mate. Rodders is
good serving.
Rodders clotted cream with scones and strawberry jam. That's the best biscuit on the planet.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I suppose in the States actually they do call.
They do call them biscuits.
And they do call things like so I suppose you could get away with that.
I like a scone.
Thanks, guys.
Rebooted. Bang and on.